How's it going, guys? Broken Arrow's final update of 2025 has just come out today, and it has zero balance changes. That's right, zero balance changes. So if you take a look here, you can see the win rate. Basically, Russia was winning from launch until the last balance patch, which was almost 2 months ago now, so end of October, halfway through December now, so a month and a half ago, really. And then America's been on top ever since, and the new patch has just come out, and it does not address this whatsoever. So what does it address? What does it address? It's called the Allied Command Update, and we'll now do a little bit of reading. So, Update 1.0.12. Dear players, we are pleased to present Update 1.0.12 Allied Command. This update introduces an important new feature, several gameplay improvements, and a number of resolved issues. The development team made the decision to dedicate this update primarily to technical enhancements, separating them from balance-related changes. However, this in no way means that work on balance has ceased. On the contrary, we are preparing the global updates, which will include not only significant balance adjustments, but also deeper changes to core game mechanics based on extensive feedback from our players. We closely monitor your feedback, carefully review your suggestions, and take your comments seriously. Your input helps us identify issues, find growth points, and move towards solutions that will make the game more stable, enjoyable, and comfortable for every player. So that's marketing gobbledygook for we're not doing any balance changes this time, which is really something, man. I mean, how much time does it take to change the price of a couple of units and just try and get this gap down, right? How long does that take to change a few unit things? Apparently, it takes more than 6 weeks. So, yeah, the key feature in this update is the introduction of allied bots in skirmish mode. Our goal was to ensure that bots act as reliable, predictable teammates while remaining flexible enough to adapt to dynamic in-game situations. To support this new functionality, we expanded the lobby settings. Bots can now be assigned to any available slot on either side while retaining familiar options such as difficulty and specialization. This gives players more room to experiment, assembling custom teams, balancing sides, or testing new tactical approaches. Skirmish mode has also received several quality of life improvements aimed at enhancing convenience and gameplay variety. Lobbies are now private by default and automatically filled with bots upon creation. Additionally, you can now change the time of day. So, I mean, basically, this update is they've added AI allies to skirmish mode because when the game first launched, there was no just versus AI. And then they added versus AI as skirmish, right? Not the campaign. Obviously, in the campaign, you're facing AI. The AI in this game's absolutely dog shit. It knows where you are and it just sends loads of things towards you um, constantly until you die. It just knows where you are all the time. And now you can have that on your team, and presumably they will know where the enemies are and they will just send endless waves towards them. It's quite surprising to see an RTS launch full price, not in early access, full launch without a skirmish mode, and then without allies in skirmish when they eventually added the skirmish mode. But what do I know? This is just a small indie team with almost 50 members and a big publisher, which also considers itself to be indie if you ask them about it. Indie, of course, means independent, which means independent of a publisher. But what can I say? The line between marketing and lying is certainly very blurry. So they added a skirmish mode, right? You can change the time of day in skirmish mode. They added AI bots to the skirmish mode. Sorry, there was a skirmish mode before. It's just you could only play versus the AI. You couldn't have AI on your team. And the post-match screen apparently is better now. Interesting. So, general fixes and improvements. Fixed an issue where units would execute orders to incorrect positions, aka reverse bug. Yeah, so this has been in the game from the start. They have said that they've fixed this before. Basically, you'll order somebody to go somewhere and they'll just go in completely the opposite direction, or just a completely different direction. It's very strange. Hopefully it's fixed this time. Fixed performance issues some players started to encounter after easy anti-cheat had been added to the game. Yeah, so they added easy anti-cheat several months into the game's life cycle. I don't know what effect it's had on cheaters. Some people say there's still lots of cheaters. There's no replay mode or anything, right? and at first Linux users couldn't play at all, and then they said we can play, but it's just very laggy. So we'll see if they've actually fixed it with this. Fixed an issue where the game could end as victory or defeat instead of match cancelled in some cases. Okay. Fixed an issue where players may be stuck during loading, so they've said they've fixed this several times. There must be many issues which cause the same ultimate outcome. Refactored game's network message handler, which should minimize network issues in-game, such as desyncs, invisible units, etc. I mean, they literally say this every single patch. We fix desyncs, we fix desyncs. There's still desyncs. Fixed an issue where players who closed the game via Alt F4 during the match search were not removed from the search and could be assigned to a match. Okay. Fixed an issue where the player log size could be too excessive. This is the second time they fixed this. Basically, sometimes you're playing and you just run out of hard drive space because as you're playing, there's like a text file that's generating all the messages from the game engine saying, literally, if you read it, it just says, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, over and over and over and over again. And if you play too long, the file size gets very, very large because of how many errors there are in that log. So I was talking to a guy and he was like, I was playing and my computer suddenly said I've ran out of hard drive space. Obviously, he was like near the limit, right? And then that log just kept getting bigger until he ran out of hard drive space. Fixed an issue with the supply order not properly synchronizing over the network. So yeah, sometimes you try and supply stuff and it wouldn't work. Fixed an issue where units couldn't be spawned but were removed from the deck. They've fixed this about 3 or 4 times now. I wonder if it's actually fixed this time. Basically, you can pay money for a unit and the unit doesn't spawn. It still takes your money and it doesn't let you buy another one. When you get so few units in this game, right, you gotta buy it. I remember several instances of this happening to me where I was trying to buy a fighter jet, right, because I was about to get blown up, and it ate my money, didn't buy the jet, and then didn't let me buy another one. And the jet is like, what, 400 points? So a huge chunk of my income just disappeared. Lovely. Fix an issue where the player may get the default deck in a scenario lobby. That's been fixed twice now. Fixed an issue where the reconnect option was available even if the game has been started without easy anti-cheat. Oh, that's hilarious. So you can connect to a game, disconnect, turn off the easy anti-cheat, relaunch the game without the easy anti-cheat, reconnect to the game, and start cheating. Well, hopefully they actually fix that. Fixed an issue with pause node not working properly in multiplayer co-op scenarios. Okay. Fixed an issue where the War Goals UI may not correspond to the amount of objectives on the map. So these are all custom scenario issues. Fixed an issue where the player may lack deserter status during post-match screen. So sometimes you leave and it doesn't get marked as a leave. Fixed lofting missiles such as the Javelin, Hellfire, and Hermes A, sometimes not reacquiring connect correctly if the shooter lost line of sight while the missile was still guided by the shooter. So this is a buff to javelins, which are already pretty stupid. Lovely. Fixed an issue where bombs and artillery didn't apply their damage to top armor in case of direct hits. Okay. Attack drone's logic has been improved. Right-clicking on its target will lead to an attack. Incredible. But yeah, so it's saying that its ammunition will be used as soon as possible. So if you've got multiple targets, if you right click on the one at the back, it will now shoot at the ones at the front. Whereas before it would move closest to the target and then auto attack. Which sounds very similar, but okay. Fix an order related exploit allowing planes to fly outside of the play zone. Yeah, you can still get out of the play zone, by the way, with vehicles. They didn't really fix that properly. I should do another video on it, really, but anyway, I just can't be bothered. Fixed an issue when units inside the transport were able to laze targets while being inside of a transport. Interesting, didn't know about that. Fixed an issue when the cover bonus from both stress and buildings has been applied at the same time in some cases. Oh yeah, so this was a bug a lot of people were complaining about. You could if you got stressed out and then entered a building, you became practically invincible because basically when you get panicked, you get this massive cover bonus, and when you enter a building, you get a cover bonus. So you could get panicked and then enter a building, and then you would be very very hard to kill. People like firing 4 burrito volleys at stuff and it not dying. It was pretty funny. Fix the UI issue with the scenario carousel in the main menu. Don't know what that is. Something to do with the main menu UI, right? Fix various crashes due to entity misuse issues. So they fix some crashes in the game. Fix various issues with the overcast ambience on some maps, so it made it less dark, and fix some issues in a couple of the campaign missions. There's also improvements to the mission editor. So this is how you do modding. I mean, in the Slytherin kind of thing, Flix was stood there, well, sat there even, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you can add custom models and stuff." I mean, I've not seen that personally, but apparently that's possible. Fixed lure unit and arrays, and yeah, so there's more documentation on how to use this mod editor and mission editor. So, etc., etc., etc. Merry Christmas, although you're not allowed to say that anymore, and we'll see you in 2026. So, everybody who buys the game during the holiday sale and wants to play over Crimbo will find that the game is imbalanced. Lovely. Anyway, that's enough Broken Arrow news for one day. I'll see you around.